was a big day for Nintendo. First day E3, they showed off their Spotlight presentation, and seems like most people are really happy with what they showed, so that's great. I hope you've been following along with the coverage over at Go Nintendo. But I thought I'd do something different here rather than, you know, a big story, and since I got a little time, I thought I'd talk about what the hell Retro Studios is up to, because we saw Metroid Prime 4 revealed today, but we know they're not working on it, so what the hell are they working on? I thought I'd go on Twitter and ask you guys, and you had some really interesting ideas. Tom Henderson says Pikmin 4, and I think that's a really interesting idea. So, it's not like Retro hasn't handled other Nintendo franchises before. Maybe they're gonna give Pikmin a shot. Back in 2015, Shigeru Miyamoto said that Pikmin 4 was pretty much close to being done, and later on Nintendo confirmed that and said, yeah, it's close to wrapping, but we can't show it to you or tell you any details. So that was in 2015. Where the hell is it? We're in 2017 now. Were they talking about Hey Pikmin? Because, you know, that's a spin-off in my opinion. Maybe they were calling it Pikmin 4 while it was in development and then decided to rename it Hey Pikmin because it's quite different from the other installments. I honestly don't know. So if Hey Pikmin isn't Pikmin 4, where is that game? Has Retro been working on it all this time? I don't know, but it's a pretty cool idea. Jeremy and a whole bunch of other people said Star Tropics, and again, I think that'd be a really cool idea. I was surprised with how many people tweeted me Star Tropics. I'm just glad that people would like to see that series return. It's, you know, got a lot of untapped potential for a reboot, and it's certainly been a long time since we've seen an installment. So, it'd be really awesome to see it brought back, especially by Retro, because I'm gonna jinx them, I know it, but they do amazing stuff. I don't think they would do a bad job with anything Nintendo threw at them. So seeing Star Tropics return, you know, now that Zelda's gone open world, maybe Star Tropics could just come back and take the place of older Zelda, because the gameplay mechanics were very similar, and I'm sure Retro could do a lot more with it than that too. I just love that idea, so this is at the top of my list, actually. I would really love to see that series return. I think Retro would really blow us away with whatever they do with it. Destiny Smasher and a lot of other people said they hope Retro's working on a new IP, and this has been a rumor for quite some time that Retro's not doing something tied to an existing Nintendo franchise. They're doing their own thing, which is why it's taking so much time, because it's 100% new, so they're feeling their way through it. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, if, like I was saying, I would really like Star Tropics, but the idea of a new IP would be awesome as well, because, you know, I'm sure Retro could do whatever the hell they wanted, and they're certainly going to give us something that wouldn't be in traditional Nintendo style, or maybe even in a franchise that Nintendo wouldn't touch, or a genre that Nintendo wouldn't touch. So I love that idea too. I mean, you know, we could speculate forever about what a new IP could bring us, but yeah, I wouldn't be upset at all seeing a brand new IP coming from Retro. Julio Mendoza says, Waluigi FPS. Well, one thing's for sure, we would know what the taunts would be in that game. Waluigi, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's enough of that. Yeah, yeah. Fabian says Kid Icarus, and a few of you brought up this idea as well. Kid Icarus, you know, not one of Nintendo's bigger franchises, and we saw one not too long ago from Masahiro Sakurai, the man behind the Smash Brothers franchise, and that was pretty much a reboot for the franchise because it had been so long since we saw a new entry. I don't know how well that one sold. It reviewed pretty well. I know there were comments about the controls overall, but it reviewed fairly well. I think it did over 1 million in sales. I could be wrong, but yeah, I would imagine if Retro were to do that, it would be completely different from what Nintendo and Sakurai have done in the past, and I'd be interested in seeing what different directions they would take the franchise. You know, I just don't know. I'm not sure if people would really be into that idea, or if they'd be disappointed to see that Retro's working on that. If you look at Retro, you might think that they would take it in a more realistic direction, and I don't know if I'd like that for the future of Kid Icarus, but that's all just speculation, so Kid Icarus deserves to be in the conversation with all the other games. Zach Miller brings up the ill-fated Project Hammer from back in the Wii days. It was a prototype that was at E3 when the Wii was on display for the very first time, and you swung around a big hammer with your Wiimote, and that was pretty much it. And then it's, from my understanding, the game saw a really turbulent development, and it just completely fell apart. So I think this one may stay in the past. I don't think Nintendo's going to be eager to bring it back, because they have a lot of bad memories associated with it. Khan says a Donkey Kong 64 remake or sequel, and a lot of people brought up Donkey Kong in general, and I think most of them brought it up as a joke because a lot of people were upset when they saw that Retro was working on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Wii U. So to see them return to Donkey Kong again, I think that might upset people. I loved Donkey Kong Country Returns as well as Tropical Freeze. I would love to see a third installment in that franchise, but I can understand people's desire to see Retro move on to something else. But it does bring up an interesting idea. What if Retro did return to Donkey Kong, but took it in the Donkey Kong 64 direction? So that's certainly different from platformers, at least in the Country series. We're talking about a 3D platform or something more akin to Donkey Kong 64 and nowadays Yooka-Laylee and stuff like that. It would be interesting to see what Retro could do there. I wouldn't be totally against that. It would be a cool idea, I think. I just know that if Retro came out and they're like, we've been quiet for so long, here's what we're doing. More Donkey Kong, people will be like, oh, that's a bit of a disappointment. Mauricio says Luigi's Mansion 3, and again, this is something quite a few people said. There's been some rumors over the years that Retro was going to work on Luigi's Mansion in some way, but those never came to fruition. And again, it's another long-running Nintendo franchise. There might not be a lot of installments in there, but fans definitely know it and hold it in high regard. Next Level Games did an excellent job with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS. That was a fantastic title. And it would be really cool to see Luigi's Mansion return to consoles. I would love another console installment. And if that were to happen, if Next Level Games isn't going to do it, because I'm not sure what they're working on for Nintendo right now, I would love to see Retro take up the idea. I think it'd be really cool to see that series branch out into something bigger, and I think a return to consoles would be able to do that. So I got no problems with Retro doing that, and I think a lot of people would see that and see the Retro name tied to it and be like, oh, this game's going to be really great. Thanks to everybody that responded to that tweet. Obviously, this is a small sample of what people put out there. I got a ton of responses, so I really do appreciate it, and I'm sorry if your response wasn't in the mix. But yeah, let's continue the conversation. Hit up the comments below and chime in on these suggestions, or give us one of your own and let us know why you want Retro to work on that, or why you think they are. I'm going to be in the comments, I'll check out what you're saying, and I'm eager to see what you guys think Retro should handle next. Hey guys, RMC here from Go Nintendo. If you like what you saw in the video, why don't you give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe? We'd love to have you. If you want to see what else we're up to, you can check out GoNintendo.com for 24-hour Nintendo news. You can visit us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GoNintendo. You can check us out on Twitter at Twitter.com/GoNintendoTweet. And we're even over on Instagram at Instagram.com/GoNintendo. I put all the links in the description just to make it easier for you guys to follow. Thanks a lot!